Good evening, folks. It's time for some more development, and tonight again we are going to be working on some graphs, or at least expanding on the functionality of the graphs, shall we say, right? So we have the graphs working, right? And we can switch off and on our values now, but my issue, and I'm going to show you, and I think this might be the limitation of our graph, right? But I'm going to have to show you first before we come to that conclusion. Now, I'm quite happy to work on with this anyway for the moment, because it's going to give us all the basics for what we need to do anyway, right? So we'll set up all of these. Okay. And we shall join these up. Now, Jamie, if you can remember, let me know where we got to last night. With the graphs, because I can't exactly remember at which point we were. But I don't think we were, well, it was today's stream as well, which took us further. We're now doing multiple products, and we are also, we have them color coded how we want them color coded, and we also have it so that you can switch them on and off, right, as you wish. I'm going to press a few. No, it's okay. It's okay. If you don't remember, it's fine. Right? You're going to see where we are anyway. But I'm just wondering how, if you watched last night but didn't watch this afternoon, how far on we are from where we were. Okay, that's the part that kinda... Right, so we should be starting to roll on with it. So if we hit this button, there we have our lovely graph. We can switch on and off items that we don't want to see. Okay, so that's looking all good. But the thing is here, that what we really want to see is, or sorry, what we want to change is this part here, okay? And I had a little go of it, and we can't really, if we change this, right, it basically, it moves, it keeps the data, but it shows whatever it is we're doing, okay? So as I said, we've got this working where we can switch this on and off. We can switch any of these on and off. But the next part is going to be, if we switch like these two off, that the range is going to come down, right? That's one of the things that we're going to work on tonight. So that only takes these into account when it's doing the scale, right? But once we click on that, it's going to take it immediately back into the equation. Okay? So that's really what we want to do tonight. we can have a play about with a couple of the settings on the chart here so that we can see if we can set this and if we can get it to limit the data source, right? Now, I'm fully expecting to kind of change this anyway, right? Where I'm going to have to write the data points myself, okay? In Unreal Engine, obviously, right? But we're going to have to save the data points ourselves and then basically sort through them when we're going to do our graph. And then we might not be using a data, we'll probably not be using a data source at all. We'll probably just be using a set, we'll be pulling the data in and then sorting it out and then just adding it to a graph as a series of points, right? Unless we can get something to work regarding this here, okay? Because this basically just goes up and up, right? Now what I tried to do earlier was start it basically a minute, right? Let's say 60 seconds. So it was 280 to 340, okay? And basically what you'd end up with is everything would be over here in the graph, right? It would still show the data points before that, even though I'm trying to limit it, okay? So what we need to do is we need to select these and set them to unselected. Hi Dante, how are you? Okay, so we've got our graph going, it's looking good, it's working exactly as it should. And what we'll do from there is we shall now open, well, we'll see what we've got open first. Right, so we've got our stats open, right? And if we go to our designer and then our graph, we can come down here and we're on the x-axis, right? Right, so that's nothing to do yet. This is the thing here, right? Where the x and y range, right? The fixed range, fixed scale. So I'm just wondering what this is going to be. So I'm just wondering what this, right, I'm going to put this back, right? So that's 100, right, okay, whatever. And if we put this to a fixed scale, what is that going to look like? Okay, now this might be completely weird. Data point size. Right, okay, whatever. Yeah, do me a metal works. Actually, more to the point, do me a rocket launcher. Right? I'll show you my rocket launcher, right? Here's a little task for you. Right, so if I go to weapons, right? That is my rocket launcher. So I want one with like 6 openings, as low poly as possible. But see, the thing is, these days polygons don't really matter, because computers these days can push as many polygons as you want. It's really the textures that kill it, right? So what I want is like 6 tubes, or 8 tubes, or 4 tubes, or whatever, but basically, you know, a rocket launcher. Right, if you want to do something for me. Don't need to, just as something that I had in the back of my mind. Or a metal works. Or the other one would be a refiner. No, not a refiner. A smelter. Right? A smelt works. Okay, just ignore me, guys. You carry on with your thing. Right. Right, so where were we? Can't remember. You've lost my place. Right, we're in here in stats. Right, now I don't know where we actually see. I think this is okay, right? I'm going to change this back because I think this is okay. I think it's all to do with the data source and how you limit the data source. Okay. So if we go into here, right, we've got the data source, which is this thing here, right? Now I'm just wondering what's available. So like here you've got add data point, add series, remove series, set data point limit. Right. So this kinda does it, except we don't really want it to do it this way. Right? This would work if we only wanted to do one time, right? One set of time. Like if we wanted to do like 2 minutes once every 2 seconds, right? And then we'd set this to 60, and then it would be a moving window, right? But we want a moving window where we can tell it at which point in the series to start, right? So I get series data points. Now this is going to give us a set of data points, but it's still no good because we don't kind of know which will actually, you know what? You know what? We could do this. Right, it's going to take a bit of calculation, but we could use that. Because we know how long has passed, and we know how often we're actually taking a data point. So if that's the case, then in theory, we could work out where we are. Okay? So that is a possibility, but in the meantime, what we need to do, and more importantly at the moment, is when we hit the button for this, right, we've basically got to say disabled series data, right? So we already know this and we're passing this in, right? So we know to do this, right? And so the next thing is we're going to have a function called set enabled. Okay? And this is going to take in a bool. Sorry, it's going to take in a product, which is an E item. And it's going to take a bool, which is going to be whether it's enabled or not. Okay? Okay? And is this the wrong place? Right, so we've just did this in the wrong place. Right? So we're going to delete that. And we're going to do it in here. Right? So we're going to write a function and we're going to call it rolling count set enabled. Okay, and then we're going to do our product well, actually what we'll do is we'll say enabled and it is a bool, and then we set our product, and this is going to be an E item. Okay, and then we'll move them, swap the places. Okay, and then we're going to take our running totals, then we're going to say for each, except we're not, we're going to do for each loop with break. Okay, then we're going to be pulling this off and breaking it. And then we're going to do an equals. Right, it's doing that crazy stuff again. Don't know why it does that. I've never actually investigated why it sometimes does that. I mean, I must be hitting a key or something, or hitting a side button on my mouse or some stupid shit like that. But anyway. Right, so we do a branch and we pull off the body. Right, and if it's true, then we get this. And do we break it? Nah, well, I did reroute node. And then we'll set array element. Okay. And our target array is running totals. And our index is that index. And we don't do that. Yeah, we don't do that. We set members, right? And the one we do is selected. Then that goes in there. This gets dragged out a bit. We drag this down, pull this up, drag that into there, that into there, and then we pull our enabled from here into here. Okay. Then we can drag this down so that we can see it better. Going to zoom in a minute, guys, in a minute. In a minute, so you guys can see it a bit better. We're doing good. Right, and off this we're going to break, because we're done with it. And then tidying it up. Okay. So we're tidying up. Now, there's one more thing we need to do, but it's not going to be in there. It's probably going to be in here, except it's not. Right, so it's going to be in here, where we enable series. Except it's not going to be in there either. Right, let's have a look. So it's basically in here. Okay. And basically what we do is we get parent, right, and then we get comp, and Enable. We rolling count set enabled. Okay. And on this one we say true. And then on this one we say false. Okay. And then we can get the product from there and join it up to there. Okay. That goes in there. Okay, so if we go back in here, what we've actually got to do here is we've got to do this, and we've got to set this to 0 and then figure out what the highest value is again. Okay, and this is going to check to see whether I've got this code right or not. So this is going to be nothing if not interesting to find out if I've screwed this up. It's a possibility. But it's a possibility that we need to actually check on. Right. So we set this back to 1. Okay. And we save that. And I suppose we can try it. This would be really good if it worked first time. I'm not expecting it to. I'm expecting us to have to do a little bit of checking to see what numbers are coming in. Because a lot of this I've done and not even checked it yet to see if it actually does what I think it does. Because it might do something completely different. Happens. Happens a lot. Got to set that. Set that. Then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Right, we'll hit that button a few times to give us some workers so that it speeds up things a bit. It's that. That is that. That'll do that. Okay. So that's going to give us our right. So we've not got any widgets yet, so we'll wait for widgets. Okay, we'll still not get any widgets yet. Come on, widgets. There we go. All right. So now if we hit bauxite and we hit iron ore, is it going to work? And the answer is apparently no. Okay. But that's okay, because at least we've got some data to check this. Right, so if we come to here, both of these are ticked. That would explain it, you utter idiot. You foolish man. Okay, well, I suppose we have to do this again then. It's good fun though. This is actually beginning to become a game I would play because of all the numbers and stuff that I can now see in graphs. This appeals to me. This appeals to my numbery brain. Where I can sit and look at graphs going up and down all day. Which is probably why Factorial is my favourite game of all time. It's probably just the sheer graphness. Which is why we have to have some good graphs in here, because if there's nothing in life better than staring at a graph. And obviously it's an even better graph if it actually updates in real time. That just makes it even better, doesn't it, really? I mean, what could be better than that? Right, so anyway, losing my train of thought, getting excited about graphs. Now, who's got money on this working or not? I'm going to say 20% it's going to work first time. Okay? I'm going to say there's a distinct possibility it'll fall on its arse. Otherwise. Right, but we'll see. So, we'll wait till, well, we've got widgets. Right, so we've got a nice graph, and it's graphing away quite nicely. Right, and we're going to hit bauxite. Dun, dun, dun. Right, so that's good. We resume that. Oh, our graph's disappeared. Oopsie doopsie. Okay, well, we'll hit it again, right? And our graphs kind of reappeared, but kind of not. So it did a very interesting thing. Just not the thing that we wanted it to do, really. So doing an interesting thing isn't really the answer. So, what we need to, well, we'll leave that breakpoint there, right? Now, nah, the breakpoint didn't do anything. Apart from prove the fact that it didn't work. Okay. So we need to check on our this. Okay. In fact, it's not this that we need to check. Okay, now it can only have been this that screwed it up. Okay, and that's okay because I kind of expected it not to be fully functional yet, because what I did earlier was I had set it up that it's got to pull this number and update it from every single number, right? So we'll have a bauxite highest number, iron ore highest number, a widget's highest number, and iron sheet highest number, right? Now, I did do the code for that, but it's obviously not acting how we think it is, or how I think it is, right? So, we're doing that. And what am I doing here? Right, so this is setting the highest count, right? And each of the different numbers. Okay. That's resetting the totals. So we come in here, we set the range. And we return the highest quantity, right? So for each of the running totals, we come in here and we say, is this the highest total? And this is selected. And if it is, then we do this. Okay? Okay? And this is the overall highest total. Okay? So we need to actually find this one. So if we continue, we do the iron, then we do that, then we do a crap load of L's to add workers, and now we start joining things up. Okay. Getting quite quick at doing this. Okay. Right. So we G that. Now this is where things get interesting, right? Because this element, okay, you're not going to tell me what you are. Right, so that's 1. So it's going to tell me if it's true or false. It's true. Right, so this highest, if the no, that's wrong. No, wait a minute. If this highest count is greater than this, then and if this is true, right, this should go through, right, because everything, yeah, it does. Right, so we step over, step over, step over, step over, step over. Okay. So this number is now 5, which is correct, right, because it's the bauxite. Okay? That's the number the bauxite is outputting, right? So basically, yeah, that's going to be, what? Yeah, that's okay, because this is false, right? This is false. This is true. This is false. So basically this is false. Right? Both of these have got to be true for it to pass into here. Okay? So we can disable the breakpoint there. Okay? Now, why are you not drawn? Why is it suddenly decided not to draw? Is this because of the breakpoint? Right, okay, whatever. Okay. So we've now got our widgets, right? And if we hit this button, we should jump into here because we're resetting our value in the highest quantity and selected. Now this should immediately be set to 5 again, but it's going to be set to 5 by the iron ore, or that's what should happen. Okay, so we're doing the rolling count is enabled, right? Now, one of the other things we want to look at here is in here, as well as there, right? What we want to know is this thing here, right? We want to know what this actually is returning. Okay? So, if we resume, right, now I told you it would hit here, right? That's 1, that's A, and this should be, well, we can resume this, and it's going to jump to here, and I'm assuming this is going to be 5. Yep, it is. Right, so that's exactly what we want to see, right? So we can resume that. And it looks to me that the breakpoint actually does fucking break us. It looks to me like it stops at rendering if there's a breakpoint involved. Well, that's a bit crap. Right, so the actual thing we want to see here is this highest quality in selected, okay? And it's in the comp counter. So what we're going to do is we're going to make that available to see it, right? And we're going to see what numbers change and what they change to, okay? So we're going to have to do this again for testing purposes. But what we'll do is we'll get ready and we'll say controller, right? And then we'll click on there and we'll see this and it defaults to 1, okay? Which is exactly what we want. We'll close that, right? And then once we start doing our conveyor belts, it's going to start changing, right? Actually, no, it's not. Because it only runs that when the graph is available. Okay, and finally, we can join this one on. Okay, so now that's immediately up to 5, right? Which is, as we said, we'd expect because it's going to work it out from our so we've got all our 4 things now, right? And if we hit bauxite, it should yes. This plugin does not like breakpoints. Okay, it completely throws it off its game. Let's see if we can do that. Yeah, we can do that, right? That's okay. So if we hit bauxite, we should see this drop into 1. There it goes, down to 1, but it's back to 5. Okay, that's exactly what we expected, okay? So it should stay at 5. And then the next time we see it, it should go either to 2 or to 3. Okay, so if we turn off iron ore, it goes to 1, 3. Oh, look at that! Superb. Excellent. Right, so if we hit iron ore again, okay, so the point here is we need to reset. When we hit enable, we need to reset the scale. Okay? Okay? That's fine. But once again, if we take that away, and we take that one away, then we should reset the scale. Okay, you've seen that the scale has been reset. Then when we switch these back on, we need to immediately reset the scale here, right? But that's working really well, I would say. And at this point, I'm going to go and grab a cigarette. So you guys, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, check out the description, all that, and I should be back in 2 minutes. I'm just going to leave it running for you guys, okay? So that you can have a look at the lovely graph. Okay guys, we're back. And we're not showing that. So, got our graph, going well. But I think we're going to have to set this on a different set of data. Okay. It is good, it's what we want, but we can take what we've learned from this and then we can make our own data sets. Okay, so basically I'm going to record a data set at each different interval. Catch you tomorrow, Spock. Right? So I don't see an easy way of removing stuff from the dataset. When we're using it as a data source, okay? I don't think there's an easy way to do that. But at least we know that we can draw this type of graph pretty easily. And that will be able to work for us. Now, what we could do is we could turn this into an array with a timestamp on it. Now, I did actually create a struct to do that with. Okay. And I can't remember where to put it. I would imagine it's going to be in here under stats counter, so you can see struct. Yeah, we've got a timestamp. Okay. So basically what we can do is we can add a timestamp to each item in the array. Okay, now I'm not sure if I'm going to end up doing this in C++ or not, because it might be the fastest way to do it, to read and write stuff. I'll have to do a bit of reading on it, but we know that our functionality works. Okay, so that means that I can incorporate this into the graph and into a standard Cartesian graph, and then just add the series of data points from our array that we're going to do. Okay, so then we can basically have like per second, or per minute, or per hour, or per 10 hours, okay, that will have the data available to us. Okay, and if we're reading and writing straight from hard drive, it's going to be fairly quick, but we're going to do it in chunks, right? So basically we'll only load the data that we require at any one time. So what we'll do is we'll remember the last graph time frame they had, and we'll only keep that amount of data, right? And then what we'll do is we'll work out if we've got far too much data or not enough data to actually fill out a graph. Okay, that is kind of the plan. So what we'll do is in here, right? We'll go to our event graph, right? Now we'll have a look at this part here. And it's actually this part here when we update the graph, okay? We're clearing the running tools, okay? But we don't want to actually do that. Okay, what we actually want to do is we want to send these to an array. Right, so what we'll do is we'll call them data points, right, for the moment. Right, now what we're going to also do is we're going to create another struct, okay? And the reason we're going to do that is because this doesn't need to have all the stuff that this one does, right? What this needs to, all this needs to have is, so we'll call this struct data points, okay? And it's going to have a time value, and I believe that's, well, we'll see in a second, right? That's going to be time value, it's going to be the quantity value, and it's going to be product value. Okay, so integer, integer, and then it's going to be E item. Okay. And what we want to do is we want to see how that builds up. Okay. So we actually didn't want to shut that down. So we want to have a look at our comp thing here. And this is going to be struct. And it's going to be data points. Okay. Now, as I said, this might end up actually being loaded in from like a file and updated from a file, so I'm just making it a variable right now in an array so that we can see what we can do with this. Okay, so what we do is we get the running tools, right? Then we do for each. Okay. We're going to pull this down, and this is going to go in completed. Then we're going to break this, and then we're going to get the data points and we're going to add then we're going to make that right, and we're going to have product, we're going to have quantity, then we're going to have get seconds, get game time in seconds, and that is a float, so we're going to end up truncating that, which is fine. Okay, so we're going to loop and do that. And okay, we're going to drag this down a bit, which means we're probably going to have to drag that other one down a bit, but anyway. So drag that up out the way. Then we can drag this up a bit. We can save that. And we can actually keep an eye on this as it actually does it, right? Because basically this is going to be doing this all the time. Right? But our problem is we need to actually be able to see it. So every 5 seconds this is going to be doing stuff. Right, so this data point there we go. So you can see there we've got a time of 5 seconds. Right? So we're gradually making our time. Okay? So it's gradually filling up. Okay, so we can see it there gradually filling up. We're now at 8. Okay, now I think the best thing here is once this hits a certain number, right, we should be able to just save it out, right? In fact, what we might do is only save a certain amount, right? Keep a certain amount alive, right? In a first in, first out method, like, and then just load everything from a file, right? Now, I don't know how that's going to work yet, but we'll work it out. I have done some saving and stuff in C++ before, so I'm sure I can do it again. Okay, and it's not as if we're saving very much. All we're doing is saving like a string, which will be the product, quantity and a timestamp, and that's it. Right? It's not like we're saving masses of data here. And in fact, it's even smaller because we're saving an integer, right, in seconds, and yeah, and a string and a quantity as an integer as well. Okay, now the quantity might actually need to change to a float depending on how big the numbers get, but anyway. So you can see there, after 195 seconds, we've actually got, well, 200 seconds, so that's 3 minutes. So that's 3 minutes worth of data, right? I mean, it is only for one product, but so let's join some stuff up, right? And we'll see how fast it starts growing regarding the amount of data. And then what we'll do is we'll start doing or looking at some calculations to pull this data in. And when I'm off stream, I shall do a bit of checking on if I can actually do this with just a big huge array in real time, or if I'm going to have to save some stuff. Right, now I can save it in EMS, right, by default, but I don't know if that's actually going to be efficient. We want an efficient way of doing it, right? Right. So if we now do our L's a few times, right, you can see that we're up to 64. Now you'll see I jumped to 67, which means that we've got our first set of other data, which is, that's bauxite and that's iron sheet, right? So we've actually got iron sheet now. Okay. So this is all well and good, right? So we've got a widget there, and that's after 6 minutes, right? So that was basically 6 minutes. We have 100 data sets, which isn't that much, right? But we do need to make sure that we're reading and writing this stuff properly. Okay, so let's think about this for a second, and we'll start implementing buttons that are going to make it do things for us. Okay, I think that's the best way to do it, and that'll give us an idea, right, of what we want to do. So the other thing that we want to do is we want to check in this left hand side if it scrolls or not, right? Because I've set it up to scroll, but if it doesn't scroll, it's obviously crap, right? So we'll do that, right? So what we'll do is we'll go to our graph, and we build selection. Right, and we basically just bypass this for the moment, and we will put it back once we've tested it. So we shall check this out first. Okay, now the thing about it is we're going to put our scroll bar on. Visibility, visible, okay, and it's got always show scroll bar, right? Now I don't know what the over scroll means. Don't think that really matters for our use case, but we'll check it out later. So what we want to do is we can have a look at this again, and this array will start building up again. Okay, and if we hit the G button, you'll notice that this scroll bar isn't right. Okay, so we need to fix that. So I'm guessing that the scroll box has got to be outside here. Right, but this has got to be out in here, and then this basically goes away, right? Right, so this means that this has got to be in here, right? And this scroll box is going to have to be 30, and our vertical box is going to be fine. Right, so we try that. And now that's perfect. Okay. And those have got no colour because I've not set them to a colour, right? But what I need to do is I need to set these to like a different colour or something. But what I need to do is I actually need to have another vertical box in here, right? That's basically going to be like let's say 10 seconds, minute, hour, 24 hours, all time or something. A set of buttons along here so that they can select the graph and what they're actually going to do, right? So in here we're basically going to do another vertical box which is going to go actually that's not going to work. Right, I'm going to have to do this in a slightly different way. We'll just put it in there just now anyway, right? So we've got this scroll box here. And we're actually going to have to wrap this in a vertical box. Okay? And this vertical box is going to have to go in that vertical box. Right? So basically we've got the scroll box and then the vertical box. Okay? And that should be at the bottom. As I said, I'm not 100% brilliant at widgets, but we're trying. We'll get something going, right? And then what we need in here is a horizontal box. Okay? We could do it as a uniform grid. Okay. Now, what I wish is, I wonder if we did 20, right? And then on this vertical box, see that says 30. No, wait a minute. This scroll box, right? Let's say we say 80. I'm just wondering if this is going to take it from the top, right? And this is going to be like 20 from the bottom, which it looks like it is. Right? So what we could do is do 20. And that looks too big. Right? So for this scroll box, we could do 90. Right? So that gives us this box as a scroll box, and this box is a box for our buttons. Okay? Whew. So what we can now do is go button, then let's say button, then button, right, and duplicate, and duplicate. Okay, then we can set all of these and set the padding to, let's say, 10. Fill. Okay, that's looking good to me. And for this button, for each of these, right, there is a button that we want, or a button style that, excuse me, a button style that we want, right? So we can just search for that in another menu, right? So if we look at here and then go to inventory main, then click on this button. So it's button PNG. Well, I think I might have found that one if I'd have looked. So we come to our main stats, and then paste, and paste, and paste, and paste. I think we can do that with them all. No, we can't. Yeah, maybe we can. We'll try it, right? So if we select them all, paste, hovered, paste, pressed, paste. Okay. And we'll just do our basic thing, and we'll leave it white otherwise. Save that. Okay, and there we have our buttons. So now we need to rename these. Button. So it's basically an increment. Call it button time. Call it button time 10. And then button time minute. So this one is going to be button time 10 sec. Oh, button time 10 sec. This is going to be button time hour. And this is going to be button time day. So it's just basically in 24 hours. It's all going to be a matter of working out how many there are in seconds, but that's no problem. Button time all. Right? So there we go. Going well. And now all we need to do is add a text in there. And then a text in there. And a text in there. I know it would be easier if I did all this first, but you always forget, so hey ho. And text in there. Okay. And then for each of these, we shall select that, select that, select that, and that. Then we shall hit justify center. We'll leave the padding for now. Okay. We might actually need it in black, but we'll worry about that in a minute. So we need to change the font. Okay. And we might actually need to change it to, right, we'll change that to 16. Okay. And for this one, okay. And we're going to say 1 hour. We're going to have 1 day. And we're going to have all time. Okay, and this is beginning to take some nice shape. I'm beginning to like this a lot. This looks really good. Okay, so we're liking this so far. Okay, and on that, I'm going to head off and work a bit on this offline. So have a nice evening, fellas and folks and gals and whatever, and take it easy. Hit the subscription button, check out the description for the Discord, Patreon and my previous game on Steam, and I shall catch you tomorrow at 2 PM where we should be doing more work with this, but we're going to be doing it from the point of view of a different method of inputting the data into our graph, right, where we can much better control our stuff here. Oh, I wasn't expecting you to finish the rocket. Well, I wasn't expecting you to finish the rocket tonight or in 2 hours. Put it that way. It would take me about 3 days, right? And that's me being optimistic. It would end up looking good, tell you that, but it would take me about 3 days. Then another 2 to remember how to use Substance Painter and then actually texture it. Right, but I look forward to seeing what you do with it, Dante. I'm definitely looking forward to it. Even if I can't use it, I'll look forward to seeing what you actually come up with. So, yeah guys, tomorrow we're working a bit more on this. We'll have a better method of doing this so that we can control the data better, and then we can actually display it better, and we shall take it from there. So good night folks, and I shall catch you later. Well, I look forward to see you posting it on on Discord, Dante. Definitely. Looking forward to that. So, everyone, bye bye for now.